Good day all, it is 6:57 p.m. on what is the 1st of the 11th 2024, or so they tell us. This is my channel, the South Preservation Society. I'm Basil, broadcasting truth and therapy. Here I am using the talking stick. You know, if you're as old as me, you will remember Live Aid back in the 80s. And the first band on there was Status Quo, singing Rocking All Over the World. And a thought just occurred to me, and I'm not being contrite or anything or whatever, but those elite, they're using that same music and they're singing Killing All Over the World. And they like it, they like it, they like it. I've just seen some footage from Valencia in Spain. And again, if you're as old as me, you'll know that old saying, the rain in Spain stays mainly on the plain. It is beyond my mind how the world is just observing and spectating on what is happening. It's beyond my comprehension. Floods all over the place. There is genocide in Palestine and all around that region, Lebanon, etc. And the world sleeps. The world is in a daze. The world is dreaming that this is happening, except those who are actually dying and being forced out of their homes, like in America. That's another thing. It's another thing. Everywhere that I see in America, building houses, just sitting there, and it's the same here in Britain. Most of the houses, their internal structure that are being built these days is all wood, timber frame, and remember the big bad wolf? I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down. And he blew the straw houses down and he blew the wooden houses down, but he couldn't blow the brick houses down. In the same way that we can't, or they can't, well, I suppose they could if they wanted to, blow up those ancient megalithic structures. And the truth is written in stone. Without a shadow of a doubt, the truth is written in stone. And once you hear it, you see it, you can't unhear it and unsee it. They might have demolished the Georgia Guidestones. They didn't need you to see them anymore. I'm on over it. There's so much truth out there. So much knowledge and awareness. So many people bringing it to us. And yet we still deny it. As I said in my last upload, Judas only denied the truth 3 times. You know, I haven't got a telly. And I don't know what you're seeing on your tellies, those of you with a television. But if you can't, if you're listening to me here, then it proves that you have access to the internet. And if you've got access to the internet, for pity's sake, turn off your TVs, throw them away. You can be forgiven for throwing them away and filling up a hole in the ground somewhere. honest, you can be forgiven for that if you throw your televisions away. But if you're going to keep them, get rid of all your subscriptions to Sky Sport and Netflix and this, that and the other, and just link it to the internet and source the information that ordinary men, women, and in some cases children are sharing in order to free you from the prison that you don't know that you're in. I watched, not for the first time, No, There Are No Forests on Earth. And if you haven't seen it, I think there's a link to it in my description box down below. Nevertheless, if there isn't, just go and look it up on YouTube or whatever. There Are No Forests on Earth. And listen to the narrator explaining to you about how the world has been mined. I can't remember the name of the channel that I subscribe to on Facebook, but they put a picture up of the Grand Canyon and what have you the other day, claiming it was one of the natural wonders of the earth. It is, but not in the context that they said. And I said to them, go and look up There Are No Forests on Earth and see if you'll still have the same view and opinion. Because when you realise with real eyes the real lies, you will see how the earth has been strip mined. Not just today by us, but in previous times. By people far more advanced than us, no doubt. And the thought occurred to me, we're told that of the flood 11,000 years ago, whenever it was, we're told it was the ice caps melting. And we accept that, because science tells us. And I always think there's two ways of saying science, S-C-I-E-N-C-E or P-S-Y-I-E-N-C-E. And so I thought that perhaps where they've done all the strip mining, they just dump the spoil into the oceans, and that's what caused the oceans to rise 400 feet. What if that were true? I'm just purely and utterly speculating here, because the only thing we have to go on is what they tell us to believe. And what if they tell us to believe is completely and utterly wrong? When you start to think for yourself and you start to say, what if? And you question, it is and can be really traumatic. This, what people describe as the awakening, is, if it isn't traumatic, then you're not awakening. There's no doubt in my mind about that. If it isn't traumatic and you don't, I've said before, and I have no shame in telling you again, when I first started to consciously awaken, about 20 years ago, I suppose it was, I'd already had my spiritual awakening, but then I started to consciously awaken. I sat on my sofa as stuff was coming to me, like from Wayne Dwyer, Jim Mars, Michael O'Bernacea, and Max Eigen, and many other people. Mark Passio, Jordan Maxwell, Ezra Pound, Eustace Mullins, Anthony J. Hilder. As stuff was coming to me, and I was seeing this stuff that was being presented to me, which forced me to question the narrative and all that I held to be true. I sat on my sofa as somebody who had brought 2 children into the world, father 2 children, and cried unashamedly. Because if I'd have known earlier what I started to learn 20 years ago, I'd have brought my children up differently. I might not have even had children at all, because I'd done an upload 2 or 3 years back. The way to stop this is to stop procreating. Have all the sex you want. Just don't bring any more souls into this world. That's what I said. And if there's no souls for them to feast on, those that control us, then they die. You know, I just cannot understand the lack of empathy and care that human beings have for their fellow human beings. I don't consider myself a human being anymore, no more than I consider myself a spiritual being. I am a conscious expression of Source, and I accept, in a microcosm of the macrocosm, my responsibility for changing all that was, is, and will be. And if everybody done that, those souls that are incarnated, then we could change everything. There is no doubt in my mind at all. What if we all done that? What if we questioned everything we hold dear to be true and everything else? You see, as I look round and see 55 plus deaths in Valencia, those in North Carolina and Tennessee, those in Palestine and Lebanon and wherever else, one can only come to the conclusion that life is considered worthless. Because if life was really worth anything, then we would seek, all of us, as mankind, to protect it. The 2-legged, the 4-legged, the winged, those that swim in the waters, crawl upon the earth, burrow under the earth, the standing nations, the rock nations, the mineral nations. We would seek to protect and revere and respect everything in nature, but we don't. We destroy it. We just live here to destroy nature. And when you look at that, there are no forests on earth, and listen to the narration where she shows you about the strip mining that has happened before, and we call it a natural phenomenon. One can either accept with their head buried in the sand the stories and the indoctrination that we've been led to believe are true, or one can question it. What if is the biggest question we should be asking and challenging all those beliefs that have stayed with us for so long. I tire so much of seeing so much hatred and vitriol going back and forth against human beings. And I look for mankind in that mess. That's what I'm looking for. Mankind. Man who is kind. There is no hope for humans and human beings. There never was. They were created to be hopeless and to be worthless out of what I can only assume was mankind. Mankind has long ago been genetically modified, whatever you want to call it, into this thing called human beings. And it's a brilliant program that has human beings of all different races, all different skin colours, all different religions, all different genders, all different sexual orientations, all different religious persuasions, sporting allegiances, etc., 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 fighting against each other. It matters not to me which level we look at it. Human beings fight and argue with each other. Mankind doesn't do that. Mankind stands with each other. A man and soul have both been corrupted, bastardized, in order to harness the energy, frequency and vibration in the physical and the non-physical into a form in the physical known as human beings, into the non-physical as spirit, and it works well. I don't know anybody else saying this, and I may well sound like a raving bloody lunatic to you. I care not. I care not what I sound like to you. I care passionately that I speak the truth. And it does clear the room, or it fills the room. But that's what I do, speak the truth. And I do so with the purest of intention. Purest of intention to empower, enlighten and enable anyone that listens, not to me, but to the message I bring. That's all I want to do, empower, enlighten and enable you to question everything about the self, everything about what you're taught to believe and know is true. In order that you may realise the real lies and know that which you truly are. And it is far, far greater than that which you think you are. And because it is a rich source of energy, frequency and vibration to those that keep you in the darkness, the fear and the ignorance that human beings are kept in. There can be no argument for me. What I speak of is the result of a 40-year journey and continuing of developing conscious awareness, because that's all that it boils down to. Developing conscious awareness, transcending the mind and the ego and the spiritual aspect of the person, because that's all the spirit is. It's an aspect of the physical person. It is the soul and the consciousness that comes with soul that is the most important thing that we disregard, hide from, in fear of, or blinded by that which is our own light. It's amazing to me that we're experiencing all of this. It must be on your tellies. I don't know, but it must be on your tellies, and yet still you watch it and then you go back to the bread and circuses, the football, the baseball, except the movie stars, the pop stars, the rock stars, and all the other fucking stars. Go outside at night time, look at the stars that really matter. Look at them. They're the only ones that matter. Because if you look at them, they will speak to you. And if you've got the ears to hear, you will start to listen and understand what I'm saying. It's a mystery to me how we can bear witness to everything that's going on and just spectate upon it. Spectate upon it. I just can't comprehend it. But then, that's what happens when you realise that you're mankind and you're not human. That's what happens when you realise you are source consciousness and you are not spirit, you are not mind, you're not the ego, and you're not the body. Some of you may not be ready for that yet. Taken me 40 years to get there. And if in doing so, I can help one wake up to what truly is, I will continue to do what I do here in my often naive and cumbersome way. But if you're going to watch, if you're going to observe what's going on, then for pity's sake, wake up and be prepared to do something about it. Fear not about the incarnation and its hold upon you, because you cannot die for the life of you. You simply cannot die for the life of you. All you can do is learn what it is to live. And what if there was death? What if this thing called death does exist? Then for pity's sake, look for it and stand up and go down fighting. Stand up and go down fighting, seeking to make a difference, to be the difference. If we all done that, we could change everything. Everything. The past, the present, and the future. Let's seek to change it by starting with the self and saying to the self, what if this is wrong? What if this never happened? What if? What if? And value life. Value life. Understand what life is. An energy, a frequency and a vibration. Nurture it, tend to it, protect it, and we will win. This message resonates. Share the message. Don't share me. Share the message. Wherever you're watching, link to my main Bitchute channel where all my work is below in the description box. Loads of other information there, including my contact details in various ways, shapes or forms. I don't want to lead you. Make no mistake, I don't want to lead you. I want you to learn to lead yourself and stop being led by governments, by truthers, by mediums, by psychics, by anybody else outside of you. I want you to learn what it is to stand in your own power and lead yourself. That is the purpose of my channel. Understand that meaning. Palamia. Thank you. In Lakesh, in UIC Anatomy. Mitakwe Yasin. We are all related. We are all relatives. And I tell you, and continue to tell you, we're all connected. Stop being human and man up.